Welcome to Magic Box Storytime with me, Lottie. Today we are going to find out what happens in Chapter 3 of The Tale of the Artist in the Snow. Will Arcadia and her team of trackers find missing reindeer, the reindeer? Chapter 3, The Elves. They still had no luck finding any reindeer tracks. But they had rolled down a snow giant and lived to tell the tale, so their spirits were high. And even Red Woolly Hat, who was prone to sulking and tutting, had to admit he was having quite a nice adventure. When they needed to, they did more star jumping, spot running and octopusing. Sometimes they did it even if they didn't need to, because it made them laugh. And laughing helps when you're looking for a reindeer in the snowy wilds of Lapland. At one point, they had a bit of a sit-down, and Arcadia handed out some delicious chocolate-covered raisins. Real ones, not poo-dropping ones. And then they began walking again. They hadn't gone far, though, when Arcadia went, "Oh, and ouch!" She was quite an unusual person, so at first the rest of them ignored her and carried on. But then she said, "Ouch!" again, and turned to Iris and said, "Did you just pinch me?" Iris said, "No, I never pinch people. It isn't nice." Arcadia frowned. "Did anyone else feel a pinch?" she said. Nobody had, so they walked on. "It must be me," said Arcadia, to no one in particular. "I'm so sensitive to this frosty atmosphere." Suddenly, she jumped though and said, "Ouch!" yet again. "No one else felt anything?" she said. "Honestly? No? Oh, dear." She sighed dramatically. "Oh!" but then said, "Hang on." Immediately, she crouched down and beckoned to everyone else to do the same. "Look," she whispered. "What's that?" "Hiding behind that snowy bush." They all looked to where she was pointing with her artistic finger. "Can you see, my darlings?" she said. "There's a pointy red cap. And are those... they look like tiny legs in stripy tights. And I just saw a big ear." "Oh, good grief," said Red Woolly Hat. "No," said Iris, "she's right. I can see it too." Arcadia grasped her hat by its pom-poms. "Oh my," she said, "I believe we've been surrounded." "Surrounded?" said everyone, feeling the collywobbles coming on. "Yes," said Arcadia, "surrounded by the naughty elves of Elvenfrost." "Hell's teeth," said Red Woolly Hat. "Whatever next?" "They pinch," said Arcadia, "because it's naughty and because they can. We need to sneak away from them. Huddle, my childlings. With our beautiful and creative minds, we can think of a plan. How shall we escape?" Well, someone said running, and someone said be invisible, and someone else, who was quite scientific, said did they have enough time to build an elf-stunning laser device? Arcadia shook her head. "Alas, no, you fabulous geniuses," she said. "But listen, I remember learning at school that elves love dancing. How about we create a dance fiesta? It will distract the elves, and then we can dance away into the woods." Wow. Everybody nodded, apart from Red Woolly Hat, who tutted and said, "Do we have to dance?" Arcadia said, "Bless you," and stroked his head. "I think as long as you express yourself musically in some way, that should be enough." She plunged her hand into one of her enormous pockets again and brought out a smartphone and a little speaker. "I have some wonderful music right here," she said, and switched it on. Iris and her friends weren't entirely sure that it was wonderful music, but it was definitely something. Arcadia leapt around, arms flying, legs kicking. "What's she doing?" whispered the one who'd been tearful earlier. "I think she might be dancing," said Iris. "If that's dancing," said Red Woolly Hat, "then I'm a squawking dodo." He wasn't, though, and Arcadia was dancing her own special, artistic, dramatic, didn't look like dancing, and she cried gaily at the rest of them to join her. "Dance, beautiful creatures!" she sang. "Express your inner rhythm. Dance for your lives." So they danced. And of course, once you start dancing, it's really hard not to enjoy it. They had a right royal party, in fact, and what's more, the naughty elves began to join in. They danced and hopped and skipped in tiny steps and tried sneakily to pinch people while they were at it. In the end, all the elves were dancing so wildly that Arcadia gathered her group together and in a low voice said, "Look, they've more or less lost control of themselves. Let's creep away, quickly and quietly." They tiptoed off into the trees nearby, and when they were far enough away, they collapsed onto the fluffy snow, exhausted. Arcadia mopped her brow with a flimsy little handkerchief and then opened her duffel bag. She pulled out 3 plastic boxes. Inside the first, there were cinnamon rolls. In the second were smoked salmon and crackers. And in the third, some juicy pickled herring. "Time for a midwinter picnic, I think," she said with a giggle and a wink. Quite a few of Iris's friends were fairly sure they loved cinnamon rolls, but were a bit less sure about the smoked salmon and, frankly, quite frightened of the pickled herring. Iris herself, however, was naturally brave and curious, and even though she wasn't sure exactly what she was eating, she tucked in. "It's all completely delicious," she announced, after swallowing a herring cinnamon roll and smoked salmon sandwich. After that, what with being more hungry than they'd ever thought they could be, everyone ate the lot. And that is the end of chapter 3. Oh, those naughty, naughty elves. Well done, Arcadia and her team. But what will happen in chapter 4, the final chapter? Hopefully you can join me. Thank you very much for listening to Magic Box Storytime with me, Lottie. See you soon. Take care. Bye.